How many people are building something right now? You're building a solution right now. Put your hands up properly. I want to see. If you're building a solution right now, 45% of the room, you're building a solution right now. Okay, if you're building right now and you have spoken to 5 people today or this week about what you are building, let me see your hands up. All right. So you see, it's less than what? 5% even of the room. And I think that's a real mistake. Because one of the problems that we see is that we're not synergizing our energies and our ideas. And some of the time, I know people say, I don't want to share my idea with anyone, so that somebody will not say after me. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Say it after me. Ideas are a dime a dozen. The easiest thing to have is an idea. The hardest thing to do is to execute on your idea. And usually when you find people who are thinking alike, you can come together and build synergies that can be really powerful. And I think that's one of the things that you should use DevFest for. So take a look around you. Like really look around. You're still looking at me. This isn't just the conference. It isn't just the conference. You are sitting in the engine room of Africa's innovation. DevFest Lagos, in particular, is the heartbeat of the African ecosystem. And I want us to feel the pulse of that as we go through the day. Feel the pulse. Make sure you connect. Make sure you talk to others. I like the fact that they were like, talk to 5 people, get 5 facts from them. One of those things should be, what are you building? Or what are you thinking of building? What are you working on? What can we work on together? I think it's very important that you do that. I want to continue with a single number. The number is 6.5. 6.5. Every single minute, 6.5 developers join the GitHub from Africa. 6.5. Every single minute. So if you think about the amount of time it took me to walk on the stage and go back to get my mic fixed and say good morning, 20 new developers just came online. And I think that's incredible. Because it's not just a statistic. It is a tidal wave. You know, some of the time when you are living in something, you cannot quite appreciate the momentum that you're in. And I think what is really inspiring to see is that Nigeria is leading that charge. And I truly think that we have established something that's undeniable. Lagos is the Silicon Valley of Africa. We're no longer asking for a seat at the table, we are building the table. And you all are a part of that. Depending. And I'll talk about what it depends on before I leave the stage today. volume isn't enough. Numbers alone don't solve problems. So today I want to talk to you about how we move from participation to inspiring solutions. How do we use the tools that are available today to engineer Nigeria's next leap? I remember it was, 15 years ago, thereabout, maybe a little bit more. So I'm aging myself now. And we just started, I'd say that the tech ecosystem just really started to take off at the time. I used to spend a lot of time at the co-creation hub in Yaba, Lagos, CC Hub. You should talk to developers. And I'd go there this week and I'd have a conversation. And they always had inspiring ideas they were working on that they wanted to speak to me about. And to be honest, some of them were really inspiring. I mean, if you hear some of the answers to the questions today on how do you get from making a product a company, some of those ideas had the answers that were spoken of on the panel today. But the problem is I'd go back a month later, and a month later, and a month later, and they hadn't really moved the idea forward. And some of the time, you can get very comfortable with having a great idea and seeing yourself in the future making a big impact, but you actually don't do anything about it. You're not willing to take a plunge, to take a leap. Now, I know the reality. I know that coding in Nigeria comes with headaches that developers in San Francisco don't have. You worry about power. You worry about data. You worry about latency. What else do you worry about? You worry about network. And it feels like you have to do so much to get so little. I understand that. And that is why we at Google are focused on helping with the plumbing. We try to help with some of the infrastructure so you don't have to code around it. So you don't have to lose motivation. For example, things like the Equiano subsea cable, the Humoja cable are there to help us improve capacity. The cloud region in South Africa is there to help with latency, so you don't need to go across the Atlantic Ocean or all the way to Europe to pick up your data, so that your solutions can be much faster. And I know that even a millisecond matters, especially when there are other latency issues that you have, like network. So we build the rails so that you can focus on the building. And we continue to make investments to accelerate the ecosystem. Just a few weeks ago, we invested about $2 million specifically for AI-ready data in Africa. And this is on top of our $1 billion commitment that we made a few years ago. So it's really about how we help build out the data ecosystem, because we know that in the age of AI, data is oxygen. So we build the rails, and when you have that, it's important. But having the best rails in the world doesn't matter if you don't have a powerful engine to run on them. So you let the big hyperscalers and the government, and it's important that you're involved in the policy conversations, for example, the Nigeria Innovation Bill. See, I think some of the time we spend so much time on social media talking about the wrong thing. The type of things that we should be pushing how are you helping us get policy right so that we can build to solve problems? It's great when one military man is fighting with one politician, and we want to talk about that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just think that some of the time we spend our energies in the wrong place. So you should be asking yourself, am I spending my energies in the right place? Because there's very little you can do to build the infrastructure yourself, but you can add your voice. And that voice is very powerful. So when we have the rails, we need the engine. Let's talk about the engine. One of the crucial, critical engines is artificial intelligence. And our very own brand new Gemini 3. How many people have heard about Gemini 3? How many people have not heard about Gemini 3? It's okay. It's okay. You can check it out today. So it's multimodal. It's faster. It's our most intelligent model yet. But if you leave here thinking that it's just another fast model, you've missed the point. You know, for the last few years, we have looked at AI as chatbots. It's like a consultant. So you ask it a question, gives you an answer. I recently picked up vibe coding. How many of us are vibe coding? If you are not vibe coding, you are not helping, you should be vibe coding. Somebody said yes. Say it louder now. Yes. But imagine what Gemini 3 can do for you. We are moving from things like just it giving us a response on code. We are entering into an era of agentic solutions. So Gemini 3 is not just a chatbot. It is an engine that can do things. It can plan workflows, execute on complex tasks. It allows you to build systems that act, not just speak. It can understand a complex objective. Like, for example, you could say, build a supply chain optimizer for Lagos traffic. And it will execute on that complex task. Because of the agentic solution that's built in. So the limit is no longer about learning to code. It's about coding to solve. That's why I started with how many people are solving right now with the products that they are building. And we think it's important that everyone has access. So for all the students in the room, how many of you are onto the Gemini Pro, the free one? If you are not onto it, you don't like free things. That's $20 a month that you get for free. Now, here's the catch. You have the rails and you have the Ferrari, but if you don't know where you are driving, you are just spinning your wheels. You know, I talked about Silicon Valley, and sometimes I feel like when I hear problems from Silicon Valley, it's almost like they are inventing problems to solve. Like somebody's built a Bluetooth juicer. A Bluetooth juicer. Who needs a Bluetooth juicer? But I think in Lagos, we don't have the luxury of that. I think real problems are staring us in the face. Logistics, healthcare, education. And I know that everybody wants to do fintech, but there are problems elsewhere that we can solve. So don't run from the chaos. The chaos is your training data. Embrace it. I want you to know that coding, just like living in Nigeria, makes you tough, but AI makes you fast. And it's important that we combine the two. Great developers don't just write clean codes, they understand the human pain point. Some of the time is a pain point that they've been through themselves. Late yesterday night, I was looking at a company that I want to invest in, and they sent me an LOI. And I could tell from reading it that the founder had lived that problem, understood it pretty well, and felt like they were the right ones to solve it. So opportunities are staring you in the face every day. Every day. Look at Pharmacy Africa, for example. How many people know Pharmacy Africa? How many people know? Just a few hands in the room. They didn't just build a website. They saw a human struggle. Getting medication in Nigeria is difficult. So they fell in love with the problem, not the code. But some of the time, as technology enthusiasts, you can kind of fall in love with the technology, but you're not thinking so much about the impact that it should be making. And I think it's important that you think about that. So here's my challenge to you, to everyone in this room. We have moved past the era of learning to code. As I said, we're now in the era of coding to solve. And I think I said this last year as well. If everything that you think about when you think about your solutions is about how rich it is going to make you, you are in the wrong business. Let me say it again. If everything you think about when you think about your solution is your nice car, and your nice house, and your face on the cover of what magazine now is it? You started off wrong. Because I think one of the problems is that, the West exported technology solution building and getting wealthy of it. And I think some of the time we learned the wrong lessons. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you shouldn't dream of a life that's comfortable. But if you don't fall in love with the problem you're trying to solve, more than the money you're looking to make, you're not going to last the distance. You will chicken out. Or you take investor funds and you blow it. So the limit of what you can solve is really in your imagination. Let me tell you, there are businesses today that have been there for 30, 40, 50 years that you can compete against just by developing a technology solution that can scale. And when you think about solutions, it's always good to think about your community, but it's even better to think about solutions that can scale outside of your community, because you're going to need a lot of people using it to be able to develop a business model around it. I really, really I'm trying to get as many young people as possible to understand that the success of this country, and dare I say this continent, rests on you, especially if you are in tech. And if all that you're thinking about is about being the next billionaire, you don't have your head screwed on straight. You have to think about it again. What you should think about is the myriad of problems that you can solve and the impact that you can make to your community and how you can inspire people to do what you're doing. So, DevFest Lagos. DevFest Lagos. Just say yes. You don't have to say sir, because you're going to make me feel old. DevFest Lagos. Go. Find a problem. Fall in love with it. And use the tools to build the next unicorn. Not just for Nigeria. And not just for Africa. But for the world. Thank you very much.